watch this video about why Rollercoaster Tycoon died because freaking my life. Did I ever? I love. I still love the shit out of that game. I still love the absolute living shit out of Rollercoaster Tycoon. And I found one. Oh, I found a game on Steam that is like basically exactly like Rollercoaster Tycoon. Called um shit. Um well, I literally had it on the tip of my phone. What is it called? Oh, how did I forget it? Now I'm mad. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, Parkitect! Yes. Okay, the game is called Parkitect. So this game is basically exactly like Rollercoaster Tycoon. Oh, I want to play it again now. I want to play it again. You never played Rollercoaster Tycoon Slash? Oh my god, you have to. You have to. It's so. I mean, if you like those kind of games, it's so good. It's so good. Rollercoaster Tycoon is such a classic game from back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Thrillville? Oh my god. Wait, why am I typing that here? Oh my god, is this the one where you can like walk around? Oh. Oh my god, yes, this is the one where you can walk around and you do like the cheerleading thing and whatever. Adding it to my wish list. Thank you, Slasher. Cuz I think I played that too like way back. Nope, Planet Coaster actually I have Planet Coaster because obviously I loved Rollercoaster Tycoon, so when I seen Planet Coaster I was like, "Oh my god, I need it." So I bought it like immediately. But I didn't really fall in love with it or like it anywhere near as much. It like it's kind of like a little bit too complicated and in-depth, if that makes sense. All right, let's see why Rollercoaster Tycoon died.
In 1999, Rollercoaster Tycoon changed the gaming world forever, and the first two sequels built upon the foundation to create
Hell
something
yeah.
truly special, a series beloved by millions of people around the world. But today, that series has been milked to oblivion with 8 mediocre spin-offs and a
Oh,
terrible
wow.
full-release title that makes longtime fans question the future of this
Oh,
beautiful game.
bro, I was so excited for Rollercoaster Tycoon World, and oh my god. And then I seen such shit reviews for it, and I was like, "What? Where is Roller Coaster? Is it not even Roller Coaster Tycoon World? It's $5." Oh my god! It's on sale for $5 right now, and it has mostly negative reviews. Oh my god! I was so excited, and I just why? Why is it so bad? What is so bad about it? Damn. I miss Guitar Hero. Everyone was crazy about Guitar Hero. I never got into it myself, though. Guess Roller Coaster Tycoon faded into obscurity similar to games like Guitar Hero. Oh, okay. Except that one just stopped. The game more similar is Just Dance. I like the Just Dance games. They're fun. They're really fun. But yeah, I was so excited for this, and it was obviously a really big disappointment.
game franchise. So what happened to Rollercoaster Tycoon, and how did the latest installment, Rollercoaster Tycoon World, destroy one of the biggest legacies in PC gaming history? Well, to tell this story, we need to start at the
I
very
wanna
beginning.
play it.
The first Rollercoaster Tycoon game was released back in 1999. It was developed by Chris Sawyer as a passion project and published by Hasbro Interactive. In this
Oh
game,
my god, if I disappear if I disappear for a while, you'll probably see me playing Rollercoaster Tycoon now. The year I was born?
Hasbro Interactive. In this game, you build, design,
Hold
and
on, wait, what year? Freak my life.
Released back in 1999. It was
Oh.
developed by Chris Sawyer as a passion project and published by Hasbro
God.
Interactive. In this game, you build, design, and manage an amusement park, and torture random civilians by picking them up with giant tweezers and dropping them in the water. Many consider Rollercoaster Tycoon
I never did that, by the way. Just so you all know, I absolutely never did that. Ever.
Tycoon to be one of the most influential management games ever made. Upon release, it became the highest-selling PC game of the month, and later, the second highest-selling game of that entire year. It kickstarted the rise of the sandbox and simulation game genres, while also demonstrating the profitability and potential of PC games in general. Many modern management and tycoon games like Planet Coaster, City Skylines, and Prison Architect, in part, owe their existence to Rollercoaster Tycoon.
Hell
the game
yeah.
was adored by fans, and it quickly developed a cult-like following. It was a mega success.
My god, really?
At the time, no one could have predicted how influential this little game would become. Both Sawyer and Hasbro were pleasantly surprised to see how much Rollercoaster Tycoon was embraced and loved. Practically overnight, Sawyer had gone from just another game developer to a superstar. He utilized this momentum and immediately went back to work crafting new content for his game. And in the following 2 years, it would receive
yeah.
2 additional expansion packs. The
Oh
success
my
of
god,
Rollercoaster
the path there in the background is horrible. Did you guys see that? Look at this shit. This is horrible pathing. All these people, they would be pissed. Oh yeah, you would have to fix that immediately.
And in the following 2 years, it would receive 2
They'd be like, we're
additional
getting lost, we
expansion
don't know where to
packs.
go.
The success of Rollercoaster Tycoon only fueled Sawyer's passion and drive. He knew that he needed to make a sequel, and he wanted to create a game even bigger and better than the original. To gain inspiration, he would travel between Europe and the US, going on the best roller coasters in the world. And his work paid off with the release of Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 in 2002, a
Hell
sequel that
yeah.
expanded upon the original title. There was now a more robust coaster building system, players had far more control over their park, and the editing system was tweaked to be more user-friendly. This game was even better than the first, and it would also receive 2 very solid expansion packs. Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 would become the 10th best-selling game of 2002, and it would remain a top-selling title for years to come. Critics and fans loved it, and the positive sentiment helped to solidify Sawyer's position as an influential indie game developer, and things were only gonna improve from here. Everyone was excited to see where Rollercoaster Tycoon and Sawyer would go next. Then, Atari entered the scene. See, the first 2 games were originally published by Hasbro Interactive, but shortly after the release of the sequel, the company was acquired by Infogrames, which would rebrand to Atari in 2003. Anyways, after the second game, Atari had total control of the franchise and wanted more, but Sawyer didn't want to develop any more Rollercoaster Tycoon games. As stated directly by him later on in a conversation with Eurogamer, I think you have to understand that my personal vision for Rollercoaster Tycoon was fulfilled with the last version I created myself, Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, and I had no interest in working on someone else's vision for future versions of the game. Much better to let those who do have the inspiration fulfill their own vision of the next iteration of the game and not interfere. So
no, Sawyer, no! No, you don't do that, they're gonna... No, because then you do that and you tell them, oh, it's fine, just do whatever you want, and then they just absolutely obliterate and destroy it.
So, Sawyer stepped back from the development of all future Rollercoaster Tycoon projects and merely acted as a consultant for the team. Development would now be spearheaded by a company called Frontier Developments, the group who made the Xbox port for Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. And of course, it was published by Atari. Could the series maintain its identity without Sawyer as the sole creative force behind it? Well, No. Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 was released in 2004, and fans had mixed feelings. Let's start.
You, you know what's funny? Is that I loved Rollercoaster Tycoon so much. I didn't even actually realize the fact that when this Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, I think it is, came out, that's the one that I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't have that same feeling. Like, it's just it's not the same. It's not the same. Never mind, they did try to branch out. Oh yeah, Massacre. They did. They actually do have a Rollercoaster Tycoon on the mobile. It's complete shit. Complete shit. The only other Rollercoaster Tycoon I've played was from Atari. Okay, Swan.
Start with the positives. First of all, it added a new sandbox mode. This was a particularly notable feature as players had been asking for something similar to be implemented since the first game. Additionally, the graphics were updated and the game made the transition to 3D. There was now a coaster cam for players to ride their own creations, and more improvements were made
Yeah,
to
I
the
thought
build
that was
mechanics. These things were all very solid additions, but the new direction split the player base. It seemed to be lacking the charm and intentionality that made the first two games so great. The graphics felt uninteresting and sterile. The depth of some of the systems, like managing individual guests or micromanaging specific rides, was altered, and you could no longer move guests around with the tweezers tool like you could in the first two games. While these may sound like minor changes, they compounded to make Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 feel uninteresting and bland, and longtime fans began to question what was next for the Rollercoaster Tycoon franchise. Was there any hope? Like I said, the series quickly got uninteresting and bland, but you know what never gets bland? The sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. War Thunder has been the longest running sponsor on this channel, and for good reason. It's the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and in it, you can take control of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, and fight in epic PvP battles with over 70 million other players. As you can probably tell by now, I love history, and this game is one that allows me to get my history kick because of the insane attention to detail. The vehicles that you can control in War Thunder range from the biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to the fighter jets and main battle tanks of present day. And the in-depth customization system allows you to design your vehicle with tons of camouflages, historical markings, and decorations, including community-created ones. Everything about this game backs up their promise for historically accurate detail, and
War Thunder, the game with the most classified military
models in gaming, where every vehicle is intricately modeled down to its individual components, like engines, fuel tanks, weapons, and crew, and all of these components can take damage. In short, this game is sick, and you can play it for free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox today by using my link in the description. You can even get a massive free bonus pack if you're a new or returning player that hasn't played in 6 months if you use that link now. So sign up and play War Thunder today to support the channel and an awesome gaming community. Following the release of Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, the relationship between Atari and Sawyer would completely break down. In November of 2005, Sawyer sued Atari, claiming that they'd failed to pay him a proper amount in royalties. This kickstarted a multi-year legal battle where both sides claimed that the other had broken parts of their arrangement. Because of this, and because of a lack of interest in continuing the Rollercoaster Tycoon series, Sawyer completely removed himself from the development of future sequels. While he had previously held a consulting role, he now wanted nothing to do with the games, and this was bad news for the series. At their core, Rollercoaster Tycoon games were the product of Sawyer's passion. The reason the early games were so good was because of his ambition, research, and painstaking work. And now that he was fully departing, fans were concerned. Any additional sequels weren't going to be made because of fresh ideas or a vision for something unique. They'd be made because Atari wanted to make money. Would Sawyer's departure destroy the legacy of Rollercoaster Tycoon? Well, yes. Over the next several years, Atari released two mobile spin-off games.
Look at how shit. Look at how absolutely shitty this mobile freaking game looks. Oh my god. Like,
games. Across the board, these games were pretty terrible. In principle, releasing mobile titles didn't seem like a horrible idea. The design and required processing power for Rollercoaster Tycoon games were well suited to modern portable devices. But unfortunately, the mobile games were just lazy and stripped of features. They were pretty much just cash grabs. Fans were particularly disappointed by Rollercoaster Tycoon 4 Mobile. It was supposed to be a direct follow-up to the third game and was lackluster in pretty much every single way. It removed features from the previous game.
How can you have a follow-up game but it's on mobile? That makes no sense. This is horrible. I don't... What? Oh, let's make a Rollercoaster Tycoon 4 and let's make it better than number 3, but it's gonna only be a mobile game. Oh my gosh. How did they think that would be a good idea? How?
Game had extremely obnoxious wait times and felt completely soulless. This game also had extremely aggressive microtransactions. To fans, it seemed like an obvious cash grab, causing the game to receive horrible ratings across the board and become the first Rollercoaster Tycoon game that was truly terrible. It was clear that Atari didn't care about these games at all. They would release anything that they thought would bring in money for the company. The era where there was any soul or care behind the creation of these games was over, and it was
And how hard would it be for them to take the first Rollercoaster Tycoon and the second one that Sawyer made? How hard is it to kind of recreate this? Like, it can't be that hard, come on. If you actually, if you actually put some thought into it, and then you would have made more money. I don't know.
About to get much worse. A few bad mobile games aren't enough to kill a franchise, let alone one as popular as Rollercoaster Tycoon. But at this point, Atari realized that they were hemorrhaging fans and things needed to change fast. So in 2014, they announced Rollercoaster Tycoon World, the next full release in the series. This game was supposed to be returned to form to bring Rollercoaster Tycoon back to the modern era while also keeping the charm from the original two releases.
More than one brain
the stakes
cell.
were high, not only because of the reputation of the series itself, but also because they had a real competitor that threatened to beat them at their own game. No pun intended. See, Frontier Developments, the people who made Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, were now making their own roller coaster management game called Planet Coaster, and it looked extremely solid. Atari had to deliver, or they would risk losing the credibility of the Rollercoaster Tycoon series forever. So they released a trailer, and it looked atrocious. The graphics were way worse than Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, the gameplay seemed even more watered down and lifeless, and the entire thing felt like a corporatized, washed out game being released only to increase shareholder value. It was a complete disgrace and fans hated it. The reception was so bad in fact that Atari switched from working with a company called Pipeworks Software to one called Area 52 Games mid-development. And then, 1 year later, they switched to another company called Navizio Creations. The development process for this game instantly became a convoluted mess, and Atari really had to get their act together soon, or they would risk losing any chance for a successful launch to their competitor, Planet Coaster. So after 2 years of development, they launched the game in early access in 2016. It was time for players to see that this was the superior Rollercoaster Tycoon game, and that Frontier Developments didn't stand a chance. Or at least that was the idea. The reality was that the Rollercoaster Tycoon World early access launch on Steam was one of the worst early access game launches of all time. The game was plagued with technical issues, glitches, and crashes. The gameplay was lacking on nearly every single level. The graphics were disgustingly outdated and ugly. The user interface was extremely unintuitive and hard to navigate, and the performance was worse than its nearly 20-year-old predecessors. It was a complete failure on nearly every single level, and the reviews quickly became overwhelmingly negative. At the same time, the Planet Coaster early access period was met with positive reviews. People loved.
So sad to just take something so great and you just destroy it because you just don't give a shit or something. I don't know. Maybe they lacked the skills. Who knows? But my gosh, they just absolutely shited all over it.
Loved what Frontier Developments had managed to do with the game, and fans instantly began calling Planet Coaster the spiritual successor to Rollercoaster Tycoon 3. Atari needed to reclaim what was theirs, so in a bold move, they announced a release date of November 16th, 2016, just one day before the launch of Planet Coaster. Now, this was an interesting call. It was one thing if fans were already praising Rollercoaster Tycoon World for its potential to bring back the declining amusement park simulation genre, but the reception was already negative. So Atari announced their worst version of a game that Frontier was already releasing would come out one day before the superior one drops. And this was the final nail in the coffin that really made fans realize how out of touch Atari had become. Some theorized that the company did this to confuse players in the hopes that some Planet Coaster fans might buy the wrong game, and others thought this was a declaration of war from Atari, a way of asserting themselves as the kings of the theme park simulation genre. Whatever Atari's intentions were, the move was an extremely interesting one. But hey, maybe they would fix all of the issues with the game before it released. As launch day rolled around, fans learned the hard truth. Nothing had changed from the early access period. The game—
Yeah, I actually remember this launching like that, where this came out the day before Planet Coaster did, because I was like keeping an eye on it and everything. And I remember everyone being so disappointed, and they were like, yeah, no, I'm returning this game and I got a refund and I'm just gonna go get Planet Coaster. It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, the Luma Island has been very addicting indeed. It's more money oriented than engagement. Yeah. Atari thought, oh hey, we're inheriting this game that was a massive success, so it's just gonna be easy. That's what they thought. It was just going to be easy money. But no, you have to actually make it a good game. You actually have to care. That's what makes a good game.
Was still a complete disappointment on every level. It still looked horrible, performed terribly, and the gameplay was just sad. Rollercoaster Tycoon World lacked a true progression system, research trees, staff management, and the ability to tunnel under your park. Even the game's positive features just seemed to be worse versions of the same things found in Planet Coaster. To no one's surprise, the game died basically the same day it was released. It peaked at 2,100 players, a sad number when compared to Planet Coaster's 21,000. Atari had disappointed fans for the last time, and they lost at their own game. So how did Atari manage to fumble this franchise so badly? After all these years, why couldn't they make even a passing sequel? The truth of the matter lay behind the scenes of the development process, and I believe rests somewhat on the shoulders of a guy named Frederick Chesnace. Chesnace was involved with Rollercoaster Tycoon and Atari from the very beginning. He was the one who led Infogrames to acquire Hasbro Interactive, and respectively Rollercoaster Tycoon. He became the chief operating officer, and Infogrames rebranded to Atari Inc. Then, a few years later, when Atari began facing some financial struggles, he came in and acquired a majority stake in Atari, instating himself as CEO and making a series of questionable business decisions that would cause Atari to become a complete joke, like creating an online casino, Atari hotels, and even a cryptocurrency. Like, come on, man, couldn't you read the room? And outside of these atrocious Atari business decisions, he also had direct involvement with some pretty notable indie game disasters, like Infestation Survivor Stories and the handful of spin-offs that were forged from the ashes of its dumpster fire. Long story short, Chesnace was CEO at Atari when all of these terrible Rollercoaster Tycoon sequels were made. And by projecting out these series of additional terrible business decisions that he made during his tenure, I think he was leading the charge to push out these low-quality Rollercoaster Tycoon follow-ups. Why would I assume this? Well, things just align too well, and there's a lot of evidence of Chesnace making decisions that destroy decent games.
How terrible this looks.
The insane story of Infestation Survivor Stories and its cash grab reskin called Romero's Aftermath, I spoke to Sergei Titov, the guy behind these projects. He stated that he partnered with Chesnace 50-50 when making Infestation Survivor Stories. Later, when the idea of a reskin called Romero's Aftermath came around, which used almost all the same assets from Infestation and was the literal definition of a cash grab, Titov pushed for it to be free for everyone who owned the previous game. His logic was that since it was an obvious reskin, all players should have it. But he claimed claimed that his partners, aka Fred Chesnace, wanted to double dip, and that these partners, aka Fred Chesnace, were focused on making more money over doing what's best for the players. When Romero's Aftermath came out, player reception was atrocious, and everyone accused the company behind it of being scammers. But based on what I understand from Titov, Chesnace was the one who came up with the idea of charging players more money for the same thing to begin with. While the things that Sergei Titov told me in writing are related to another project, the personality traits of someone who demands more money over positive player sentiment can be projected to these Rollercoaster Tycoon projects as well. If you want an idea of how out of touch Fred Chesnace was at Atari, we can easily reference the fact that he made an LGBTQ focused game called Pride Fest, where the premise of the game is to not get hurt by protesters and revitalize a decaying city by adding fun and color. The game, obviously, completely missed the mark and is one of the most tone-deaf things I'd ever seen in gaming. And this is just one of the complete misses that Chesnace spearheaded at Atari, during the same period that these Rollercoaster Tycoon sequels were being released. Another example is when he said he wanted to get into the hardware business, so to show how serious he was about this, he launched Atari branded hats with speakers in them. Yes, this was a real calculated business decision. We can save the details about the full Atari story and the deep dive into Infestation survivor stories for another video, but it's undeniable that Fred Chesnace was a less than ideal CEO at Atari, and that his decision making, without a doubt, helped to cause the decline of Rollercoaster Tycoon. He led the charge for all of the low quality spin-offs and has all of the qualities of a person who would constantly release projects like these to make some extra money for the company. In the years following Rollercoaster Tycoon World's failure, Atari had continued to release sequels. For the most part, they focused on mobile games. In 2018, they released Rollercoaster Tycoon Adventure, yet another mobile sequel with a depressing 56% rating on Metacritic.
Why do they even... None of your games have been successful with the Rollercoaster Tycoon. Why you even keep bothering? Oh my god. Oh my god. They're like desperate. They're so desperate to try and bring it back to life, but they just don't give enough of a shit to actually try. So they just keep releasing shit. You gotta double, triple, and quadruple down. Oh my god. Holy freaking hell. They just don't know when to give up. Sounds exactly like the games these days that appeal to modern audiences. Yeah. We're all gonna go download that game, right? The friggin' parade game. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Also released Rollercoaster Tycoon Joyride, a weird, unnecessary rail shooter spinoff that got a 44% on Metacritic, and some others that are all equally disappointing. They've continued to milk this franchise to death, and the games that they've come out with are a...
That sounds so horrible. A roller coaster. Like, actually, like, they could have... Okay, like, that concept could actually be cool. Like, a roller coaster shooter. That could be actually pretty cool. But the way that they did it, from what I seen just a minute ago, looked absolutely horrifyingly bad.
Complete disgrace to Chris Sawyer and the original two games. By contrast, Planet Coaster ended up being a very solid game that received a lot of praise from fans and critics alike. Frontier Developments has yet to officially announce a sequel, but it's likely to come sometime in the future. They are now the new undisputed king of these types of games. Rollercoaster Tycoon started off as the passion project of one man who had interesting ideas that he wanted to explore. It's a shame that the franchise has been turned into a shell of itself by a company that only cares about money. Did you ever play Rollercoaster Tycoon World? What did you think of it? What were your experiences with the original titles?
Oh my god,
did you have as much fun with Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 as I did? Let me know your answers to all of these questions in the comments. If you enjoyed this video essay, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for upcoming videos, including the one on Infestation survivor stories and one on Atari. And again, don't forget to check out War Thunder by using my link in the description, and sign up today for a free bonus pack. I will see you guys next time, and peace.
Wow, people build insane parks. Insane parks. I'm kind of sad that they didn't include... I mean, I don't know. When did Parkitect come out, actually? Oh, Parkitect came out in 2018. I don't know. Honestly, I'm gonna shout them out, though, because this freaking game, if you liked the classic Rollercoaster Tycoon. Like Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 and 2. Parkitect is so good.
But wanted something more.
It's
so
so
come
good.
Get more at Funtown World. Bigger means better. We've got a
Have to
submarine
shout
scene,
them out.
a spooky superplex, a brutalist badlands, a sunglasses at night park. We even fit some of our competitors' parks inside of our own, and that's just the entrance area. It's
Hell yeah.
300 times bigger
Whoa.
than any theme park ever. We know what you're asking. How did they do it?
Oh my
It's simple. We
What is
always
this?
keep expanding. The park never shuts down. Whoops. Sorry. Our
Oh my God,
24/7
they even have the
expansion
water
could
thing. Hell
always
yeah.
use some helping hands.
Not that I ever did that.
Sign up for our junior amusement ear program today and go to town. We've
Hell
made coaster
yeah.
design so easy for you. Just toss some rails down any which way, and you're off. On second thought, maybe a little
They're all
planning
puking.
couldn't hurt. We don't want our guests to think about less amusing things, like the outside world. So cover up those trouble spots with decorations. We wouldn't want anyone to see how the sausage is made. At the end of the day, you're why we do this. Your wide-eyed wonder reminds us to keep making things bigger and better.
Hell
What are
yeah.
you waiting for, smarty pants? Come build and manage your own theme parks with Parkitect.
Parkitect! Woo! Yes. I very highly recommend this game. If you liked Roller Coaster 1 and Roller Coaster 2. Very highly recommended. And it's even on sale right now for 50% off. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, not even sponsored, by the way. I just really love the game.